This marriage no longer serves the future I'm building. Under the fluttering American flags, silence grips the crowd. Maya doesn't cry. She's here to speak about the $500 million education initiative she co-founded. I used to believe a place built to honor truth wouldn't be where my heart gets broken. Her hand rests gently on the mic. Funny how money always gets to speak, before the truth even gets the floor. Her gaze pierces the camera, calm but unyielding. Everyone thinks this is just a divorce, but what Richard just walked away from is the only person who holds the future of his entire bloodline. After Richard's cold announcement, the world around Maya seemed to blur, but this wasn't her first fight. Years ago, she was just a little girl studying under a flickering streetlight. Her mother worked long, exhausting night shifts, coming home too tired to speak. Gunshots echoed in the distance, but Maya's eyes stayed fixed on her worn notebook. That small patch of light, her pencil's scratch, those were her refuge. No one expected a girl from that neighborhood to rise this high, but Maya held on to a quiet hope, one that no one could take away. Tonight, as the crowd watched her crumble, they didn't see the strength built from every dark night she endured. Her story was far from over. Years later, Maya stood at a bustling education conference. The room buzzed with voices and ideas, but Richard's eyes locked onto her with a weight that felt like a silent judgment. He wasn't just looking, he was measuring her. After the crowd thinned, he approached. His handshake was firm, his gaze steady. "You're not like the others," he said quietly. Maya smiled, unsure if it was praise or a warning. Later, he whispered, "I'll protect you from them." At the time, it sounded like a promise, but Maya didn't realize that protection came with a price she would pay in silence and sacrifice. That moment was a turning point, the first step into a world where trust and power were tangled, and every move came with unseen consequences. She was crossing a line she couldn't turn back from. At the family gala, Maya quickly learned the unspoken rules. Her laughter was too loud, her opinions too sharp. "Lower your voice," someone whispered. "That dress, more subtle." She wore white gloves that night, not for fashion but to hide the calluses from years of hard work. Meanwhile, Sienna appeared at Richard's side, poised, polished, perfectly placed. Maya noticed the shift. Sienna wasn't just a guest. She was stepping into a role Maya once held. Each correction was a reminder. To belong here, Maya had to become someone else. She smiled politely, but inside she was retreating, losing pieces of herself one demand at a time. That night marked the start of a silent battle, where fitting in meant giving up more than she ever expected. Late one night, Maya found a letter Richard never sent. His handwriting was careful, almost hesitant. "I know the walls we face aren't just about us," he wrote. "I'll protect you from their judgment, but you need to be prepared." She read those words over and over. He knew the weight of their world. Yet, he chose silence. Maya held the letter tight in one hand, the silver pen in the other, the same pen he had given her once, a symbol of promises made and broken. That pen wasn't just metal, it was a reminder that some truths stay locked away, even when they threaten to unravel everything. She folded the letter carefully and hid it away, but deep down, she knew this was only the beginning. The new poster hit the lobby wall without warning. Maya's face, once front and center, was now smaller, off to the side as honorary advisor. Below, a fresh photo of Sienna smiled confidently, front and proud. The shift was subtle, but clear. It wasn't just a picture change, it was a message. Maya walked past the poster every day, fingers brushing the cold glass. She remembered the late nights, the hard work, the sacrifices. Yet, here she was, pushed aside like a forgotten chapter. The weight of it settled in her chest. But she didn't look away. This wasn't the end of her story. It was a quiet challenge, and Maya was just getting started. The night of the Heritage Gala arrived, bright with music and chatter. Backstage, someone handed Maya a dress. "It's perfect. Tribal patterns to add some color," they said with a smile, but to Maya, it felt like a costume. She looked at the vibrant fabric. The bold prints meant to symbolize culture, but to her, it was a reminder, being reduced to an image, not a person. She shook her head softly. "No, I won't be a prop." The room fell quiet. Eyes lingered on her refusal, surprised, uncomfortable. It wasn't just about a dress. It was about respect. Maya chose her own path that night, not the one they designed for her. The crowd saw a woman standing tall, not a symbol, and the night felt a little different because of it. Behind closed doors at an exclusive club, Maya sat quietly among polished faces and clinking glasses. A voice, calm but sharp, cut through the conversation. "You don't fit the image our donors want." Maya's heart sank. But her hand moved without a sound, activating the recorder hidden in her purse. The words were clear, cold, unfiltered. She listened as they dismissed her, not as a partner, but as a problem. The room felt smaller, the air heavier, yet Maya stayed still. She knew this moment was bigger than hurt or shame. It was proof she wasn't imagining the barriers. As the meeting went on, she pressed record, capturing every word. Because sometimes, the truth is the only weapon you have left. And Maya was ready to fight. The headline caught Maya off guard. Her photo was front and center, but the caption read, "Richard's assistant." She stared at the words, feeling the weight of every letter. In the image, Maya stood confident, leading a meeting, but the world saw only her shadow. The media framed her as secondary, invisible behind Richard's name. This wasn't a mistake. It was a quiet erasure, piece by piece. Every article, every mention chipped away at her identity. Yet, Maya didn't back down. She saved every clipping, every headline. Because in the war for recognition, the smallest detail could become the loudest proof. Her fight wasn't just for herself. It was for every voice pushed aside, every story left untold. And she was just getting started. In a sleek conference room, a slide flashed on the screen. It read, "Diversity case. Female, black, under-resourced background, strong inspirational appeal." But no name, no credit, just a description. Maya sat quietly as the presentation went on. She was the example, the statistic, the success story, but invisible. The organization used her story to showcase progress, yet erased her identity. It was a paradox, celebrating diversity without honoring the person behind it. She felt the weight of being chosen for her appeal, not her worth. That moment planted a seed of doubt. How much of this was real support, and how much was just for show? Maya knew she couldn't stay silent forever. Her story deserved to be told, not as a case study, but as a woman who refused to disappear. The letter arrived on a quiet morning. Maya's hands trembled as she opened it. The school admired her son's achievements, but, "We regret to inform you, his image does not align with our academy's reputation." No reason given, no praise for hard work, just a cold rejection, wrapped in polite words. She folded the letter slowly, staring at the table where her son's school projects lay scattered. This wasn't just a closed door, it was a harsh reminder of how far they still had to go. How do you fight a battle where even a child's future is judged by something they can't control? Have you ever faced a moment where your efforts weren't enough because of who you are? Maya felt powerless that day, but she knew this fight wasn't over, and neither should it be for anyone else. Maya never expected the betrayal to come from someone she trusted. A private conversation, thought to be between friends, was leaked. Her words twisted and taken out of context. Suddenly, whispers labeled her unstable, unpredictable. The messages spread like wildfire. She stared at the screen, disbelief turning to hurt. Without hesitation, she deleted the contact, cutting ties with someone who once stood beside her. But the damage was done. It wasn't just about broken trust anymore. It was about fighting back when those closest to you turn away. Maya's silence was loud in that moment. She was left wondering who else could betray her next, and more importantly, how much longer could she hold on? Charlotte slid the thick envelope across the polished table. Inside was an NDA, a silence bought for $8 million. "We want to keep this quiet," Charlotte said softly. "It's not personal, just business." Maya stared at the papers, the weight of the offer pressing down. She picked up a silver pen, cold and heavy in her hand. Slowly, she closed the folder without signing. No words were exchanged. Her silence said more than any argument could. This wasn't just money. It was a test of integrity, a symbol of how far they were willing to go to erase her truth. And Maya wasn't willing to sell her story, not for all the money in the world. In front of the cameras, Richard smiled warmly. He spoke of partnership and support, the perfect husband standing beside Maya. Reporters nodded, capturing every word. But behind the scenes, the mask slipped. The smile vanished. His eyes grew cold. He paced alone in the quiet hallway, tension tightening his jaw. No words, just silence filled the room. That contrast, Public warmth and private coldness showed the real divide. For Maya, it was a reminder. Appearances could deceive. And sometimes, the person you trust most hides the sharpest blade. She watched from a distance, knowing the fight was far from over. In the quiet of her home office, Maya opened her laptop. Email threads, photos, and recorded conversations filled the screen. She organized them carefully, each file a piece of the story no one else wanted to hear. She named the folder simply Truth. Every message told a part of what had been hidden. The photos showed meetings she wasn't invited to. The emails revealed decisions made without her. The recordings captured the words spoken behind closed doors. Maya's fingers paused over the keyboard, feeling the weight of the evidence. This was more than a folder. It was her shield and her sword. The truth she gathered wasn't just proof, it was hope. Hope that one day her voice would finally be heard, and until then she would keep holding on. Maya unfolded the letter Richard never sent. His words felt heavy, careful, but revealing. I know what lies ahead. I know their judgment. She paused, eyes narrowing. He knew. He knew the walls she would face, the silent battles he promised to protect her from. Yet he stayed quiet. She picked up a pen and wrote in the margin, he knew. The letter wasn't just paper, it was a confession and a betrayal. Maya folded it back carefully, the weight of truth settling deep. This was a line she couldn't ignore, and the fight was far from over. At the Heritage Gala, Maya stood before a mirror. The dress they picked for her was bold and loud, too loud. Jewels and feathers adorned her shoulders, a costume meant to impress. Slowly, she reached up and removed each piece. One by one, the sparkles fell away. Her reflection changed with every discarded accessory. Finally, she stood in a simple, elegant dress, quiet but undeniable. No props, no symbols, just Maya. The crowd might expect a show, but she gave them truth instead. That moment was more than a choice of clothing, it was a statement, a refusal to be anything less than herself. And as she walked into the room, heads turned, not because of the dress, but because of the strength behind it. In a conference room filled with polished faces, Sienna sat confidently. She signed documents once reserved for Maya, her signature sharp and deliberate. A board member whispered nearby, "Less controversy for the donors." Maya watched from the sidelines, the weight of every signature pressing down. Sienna wasn't just stepping in, she was taking over. Each signed paper was a reminder that Maya's voice was being silenced. The fight wasn't just public anymore. It was in every quiet decision made behind closed doors. Pressure built like a storm, tightening around Maya's world. But surrender wasn't an option. This was just another battle. One Maya planned to win. She wasn't disappearing quietly, not this time. The meeting room buzzed with voices and papers shuffling. Maya sat quietly, her lips sealed but eyes sharp. She didn't need to speak. Every glance, every nod around the table passed over her, but Maya was watching. Every word, every hesitation, she stored it all. Her silence wasn't defeat. It was strategy. A calm before the storm. She knew when to speak and when to wait. Her quiet presence held power the room didn't see yet. This was her way of reclaiming control, one calculated moment at a time. And deep down, she prepared for what was coming next. Because sometimes, the loudest voice is the one that waits. In the stillness of the night, Maya sat beside her sleeping son. His chest rose and fell gently in the dim light. She opened her laptop and clicked on the folder labeled Truth. Files, emails, recordings, everything she had collected. Each piece a reminder of the battles fought and the ones still ahead. The glow from the screen lit her determined face. She traced her fingers over the keyboard, feeling the weight of what was to come. Tonight was quiet, but tomorrow, everything would change. Maya took a deep breath, steadying herself. Her son's peaceful sleep was her strength. She closed the folder, knowing the storm was near, but she was ready. This was the calm before the fight. The crowd gathered again, this time watching Maya take the stage. Her voice was steady as she faced the sea of cameras and questions. Without warning, she played a recording, clear and unfiltered. "It's not her image we want," a voice from the secret meeting said. Gasps filled the room. Richard's face tightened, the calm facade cracking. The truth echoed through the halls, impossible to ignore. Maya didn't shout or plead. She let the recording speak for her. The power shifted in an instant. from silence to exposure. The fight was no longer hers alone, it belonged to everyone watching. Justice wasn't loud, but it was undeniable, and Maya had just turned the tide. The recording sparked a wildfire online. The #hashtag Maya did that spread fast, gaining voices from every corner. Teachers shared their stories. Women of color told of their own battles. Former colleagues stepped forward, revealing silent struggles. A community long overlooked found its voice. Maya watched as stories poured in, each one a thread weaving a powerful movement. It was no longer just her fight. It was theirs too. The weight of silence was breaking. Together, they became unstoppable. Every post, every share was a spark lighting the path ahead. Hope grew louder in the noise, and Maya knew the change had only just begun. The board's decision came quietly but firmly. An email marked terminated appeared in Sienna's inbox. Her smile faded as she read the words. No farewell, no explanation beyond the formal notice. The position she had claimed was gone, lost to consequences she couldn't control. The message was clear. Actions have weight, and silence no longer shields the guilty. Photos of Sienna signing papers circulated, now shadowed by the reality of her fall. For Maya, it was a small victory in a larger battle, proof that the truth could topple even the most carefully built facades. But the fight was far from over. The room might have shifted, but the war continued, stronger, louder, and more determined than ever. The reading of the will was quiet but powerful. Every word echoed through the cold courtroom. The family's fortune was tied to one strict clause. Only heirs born within the first legal marriage could inherit. Maya's son was the rightful heir. The very law designed to protect the family's legacy now shifted control into her hands. A paradox unfolded before everyone's eyes. The same system that tried to erase Maya's presence ensured her son's future. Richard sat silently, the weight of reality sinking in. The walls built on power and privilege began to crack. Maya held her son close, knowing this victory wasn't just legal, it was symbolic. It was proof that truth and justice could rewrite even the oldest stories. And, for the first time, the power was truly hers. Sponsors began to pull back, their support waning as the story unfolded. But the headlines told a different tale. Maya was praised. Calm, composed, and fiercely determined. No longer just a face behind the project, she became a symbol of resilience. The narrative shifted, from a sidelined figure to a leader demanding respect. Photos showed her standing tall at events, eyes steady, voice clear. The wall of fame that once seemed unbreakable now showed cracks. Her critics faded, replaced by those inspired by her quiet strength. It was more than a victory, it was a transformation. Maya wasn't just surviving the storm, she was changing the weather, and the world was starting to notice. Late one night, Maya sat before her laptop. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, then slowly typed. Legacy requires integrity. You lost both. She paused, reading the words again. No greeting, no signature, just truth. She hit send and closed the laptop with quiet finality. This wasn't a plea or a threat. It was a statement, a reminder that real power comes from honor, not money or manipulation. Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The battle had been long, but this was her closing mark. She wasn't seeking revenge, just justice. And in that moment, she knew she had reclaimed her voice. The past was behind her. The future was hers to shape. In a small, freshly painted classroom, Maya stood before a whiteboard. With a marker in hand, she wrote the words slowly. Your voice is your horizon. The letters were bold, clear, a new beginning. Around her, children sat in a circle, their eyes bright with curiosity and hope. This was more than a classroom. It was a promise. A place where voices once silenced would now be heard. Maya's fight had sparked something bigger than herself. The fund was born from struggle and resilience. It carried the dreams of those who never had a chance to speak. And as she stepped back to let the children write, she smiled softly. This was the legacy she chose to build. Not on fame or fortune, but on the power of every single voice. In a quiet auditorium, Maya stood before a young girl, her first scholarship recipient. The girl's eyes shimmered with nervous excitement. Maya handed her the certificate, voice steady but full of warmth. This is for you, to chase your dreams, without limits. The room held its breath. Tears welled up in the girl's eyes and she hugged Maya tightly. It was a small moment, but it carried a lifetime of hope. For Maya, it was proof that her fight wasn't in vain. This scholarship was more than money. It was a chance, a beacon for those who had been overlooked. Every struggle, every silent tear had led to this. And as the girl smiled through her tears, Maya knew the real victory was just beginning, a future built on courage, strength, and endless possibility. In the quiet of her room, Maya gently placed a letter into a wooden box. Beside it, she added an ultrasound photo, the first glimpse of her son's face. A tiny hospital ribbon, soft and worn, found its place inside as well. Each item was a piece of their story, a memory she wanted to protect. The box wasn't just a container. It was a time capsule of love, struggle, and hope. Maya traced her fingers over the worn edges, feeling the weight of what these keepsakes meant. They were reminders that no matter how hard the world pushed back, their bond was unbreakable. This quiet ritual was her promise, to her son and herself, that he would know his worth, that dignity was the first gift she ever gave him, and though the future was uncertain, love would always be their constant. Maya stands alone in front of the empty city hall. The flags ripple in the wind, silent witnesses to her journey. She looks directly into the camera, steady and strong. If you've ever been forced into silence, if your voice was pushed down, write this: I'm still here. Her words hang in the air like a challenge and a promise. This story isn't just hers. It belongs to anyone who's ever felt erased or unheard. Because no one has the right to write your story but you. If Maya's journey moved you, share this video. Like, subscribe, and help others find their voice too. Together, we can build a world where every story matters, and every voice, no matter how quiet, is heard.